Welcome to the overview of the Life Purpose course, part of the upcoming online spiritual holistic coaching and healing certification program. I'm Philip Montrose with my wonderful partner, Jane Montrose, here
Hi,
at
everyone.
Awakenings Institute. We've been holistic coaches, healers, personal transformation pioneers for over 3 decades now. And we've helped people embrace their purpose through the heart and soul, living their best lives. So, in turn, they can help others. And that's what this is all about. Your life purpose is helping yourself so you can help others and overcoming those challenges along the way, and then helping others to do the same. So this is a way of creating better relationships, better health, a better career, manifesting in different ways. Because as you know, the world's in a lot of turmoil and turbulence now. The bigger picture, and at times we can get overwhelmed, feeling, "What can I do about this?" And the purpose is the answer. Embracing, discovering, living your purpose will help you. And then in turn, you'll know how to help others. And what you need are the tools, the knowledge, and support to do so. And that's why most people are held back because they don't have the tools, the knowledge, and the support to do so. And for ourselves here, Jane and myself, just our story, a little snippet. Years ago, we were looking for more spiritual awakening, more spiritual help. And it took us on a journey, a quest where we discovered many modalities, like I know a lot of you have. And we joined a Gurdjieff Ouspensky spiritual group, which was great for learning esoteric knowledge and tools. However, it was very restrictive after a while. And then we kind of got almost kind of felt trapped in this group. Though we learned a lot, which we're now teaching these esoteric principles, some of which we're going to share with you today in this hour plus uh, action-packed webinar overview course. But we wanted to go further because the healing part was missing. So we learned these deep holistic healing tools, some of which we actually developed ourselves that work very effectively over the years. So stay tuned for this whole course and program and how to join us if you feel so inclined to do so. Will be life-changing if you decide to do that. And we will also do a powerful demonstration of holistic EFT with life purpose at toward the end of it. So Jane, shall we jump in here?
Okay. Yeah, it has a lot of meaning to me personally, and I think to also having supported so many people in opening to their life purpose. It's just been very fulfilling. In the big picture, the way that I look at it is your life purpose is your reason, the reason your soul is here being alive. So with purpose, you feel energized, fully alive. And aliveness, I think, is one of the greatest measurements you can find for whether you're on the right track or not. Like, is this making me feel alive? Like, I want to get up in the morning and I can't wait to find out what's going to happen next. That's when you're on purpose. It, as it mentions there, it it's a place where you can connect with your guidance and wisdom comes from your heart and receive clear direction on your next steps. So when you're connected, then life is in kind of a flow. When you're not, or when you're have deviated from your soul's kind of, you could say your soul's plan for your life, and you're without purpose, it's the opposite. There's very little energy. There's a sense that something's missing. And this all brings me back to actually further in our story than where Philip started. I was an architect earlier, and it was okay for a number of years. But then my life kind of, you could say, my energy started to wane, and it became less and less fulfilling for me, to the point where I felt like my soul was dying. That idea, as it said, that something was missing was kind of almost like putting it mildly. I had no idea what to do. And this is what took, I think, Philip at the same time. He was an educator and the same thing was happening to him, having done that for a number of years. And there was just that missing piece, kind of life, you could say. Um, and when we're disconnected, also disconnected from our guidance, we lack direction or we feel confused, like there's so many choices and I can't decide which one is really right for me. And it is very deflating. This, as I mentioned, took us on on a deeper journey, and we're going to be discussing that more throughout this webinar, because it is really in discovering what's beneath the surface that we're missing, that all of that aliveness and joy and sense of being in the right place at the right time comes in. So here we
Right.
go.
Yeah. So there are many benefits to taking training in spiritual coaching and healing for life purpose. It's kind of a shortcut, and it's an enjoyable transformational one in our upcoming program, because you're going to learn a toolbox of unique, effective, holistic spiritual tools and knowledge. You'll be with a small group of supportive people. Some people who've joined the course are currently here or have taken it in the past. A lot of support. That's a big factor that people are missing. You're going to gain a lot of clarity and confidence. You'll have tremendous healings, aha, growth. You may save a lot of money in healing for a lifetime for what you'll learn and be able to do for yourself. And a lot of people want to either start a business or enhance their career. In other words, apply holistic coaching and healing to what they're doing, because there's so many ways you can do that.
Right. Yeah.
Jane, you want to share what one of our graduates said?
Yeah. One way, one of our students recently described what we offer, which is unique. We haven't really seen anything else like it. She said it's real tools for real changes. And that's what we're aiming for. A lot of coaching programs and programs in general can be kind of superficial, like, oh, you could do this or that, but it doesn't really get to the heart of the matter, you could say. And here's how one of our students described it. She said, I spent 2 years searching for these courses. I knew I was looking for something, but I wasn't sure what until I came across them. And that's kind of like where I was looking around. It has helped me enormously and in unexpected ways. It provides structure to an area that is traditionally quite ethereal and difficult to put into meaningful processes. I don't know of any other courses even remotely like these, with the scope they have. The program has literally ignited the light within. Kind of what I was saying about aliveness. It triggers something. It's for anyone who is seeking a deeper understanding of who we really are and what we are here to do. These courses are the bridge into a bigger picture for those who have an awareness that there's more to life than meets the eye, which there definitely is.
Jen Peters. Yeah,
Right.
and that's an example. People who take this program, if it's the right fit for you, it is among the best or best they've taken, because it's so deep. We teach for mastery, for depth, and I don't think you're going to find anything really like this at all. And we're going to go through the 12 weeks of this course, Life Purpose course, starting next week. And it's one of 3 courses for the Spiritual Holistic Coach Healing certification. And you'll see in these little thumbnail sketches of how much is in this course and how much depth there is to it. So let's go briefly, and then we'll do a demo on how the processes work. So week 1, we go into the Life Purpose Coaching Healing Matrix. So it's a reference. We figured out a lot of things over the decades of doing this, of what works and what people like. So this is an organizational tool. It's actually a 7-part roadmap that gives you all the contents of the course, how to find it, how to index it, and it's actually a roadmap you can use for your life purpose and your spiritual journey. And we also go into week 1 what we call the purpose coaching process, of how you would help someone determine their purpose, how to help them. So if you were a coach or a healer, what you might say to them. could be an introductory consultation or first session, and it'll give you a lot of insights of the language to use and how to interact with people so they know, like, and trust you in a genuine way. And we also discuss or touch on the 4 freedoms: the freedom of your emotional freedom, what you want to do, your autonomy, the freedom, abundance, the freedom of your time, and the freedom of your location of where you are. So just that overview can be very important. So Jane, that takes us to week 2.
Right. But before we go there, I want to go back to the matrix just for a couple of seconds. If you can you put it back up? I don't know
Oh, yeah.
if that's
Yeah.
hard. That is a list of all of the things, all of the different processes and tools that a person will learn in this course. So there's a lot.
Yes.
And we organize them so that people can refer to them. And often our intention is to make them a reference in all of the books and information that you get. It's a reference that you'll return to for years, potentially.
Mm-hmm.
We still are learning from all of this.
Yeah.
Because it continues to go deeper.
It's a lot, and you go at your own pace. They're all recorded, all the classes. There's practice labs every week, and so you can take your time, but the depth is great for transformation and real genuine growth.
Yeah, real change.
Real change. Real tools for real change, as one of our students said.
Yeah. So we were on week 2.
Oh, we're back to week 2. Okay, here we go. There's a lot in this. Here we go.
So I mentioned connecting with the truth in your heart. Spiritually, the way we look at it, the soul connects with the body in the heart. So you want to learn to connect with that. And we teach how we do that in week 2, along with talking about the stages of spiritual growth that we all go through on this journey, which it just helps to kind of organize an understanding of where you are, and also how everything is connected, because it's all connected also in the body and the energy system. So nothing is happening in isolation. Everything is connected and everything has meaning. We also teach something we call the spiritual path process, which is a wonderful way of visualizing where you are on your journey. It's one, as Philip was mentioning, we have a process that we teach each week. And so the spiritual path process, it's a way to get on what you could call your soul's highest trajectory. In other words, your best path for getting where your soul wants to go, which is the one that's going to make you feel the most alive, and creating what also your best possible future.
So that takes us to week 3 of 12 in this life purpose course. And we go into your soul's life plan. What is that, you may wonder? Well, your soul has a plan for you, and we're trying to catch up and find out what that is. And this is part of the awakening process of your life purpose. And as you understand your strengths and gifts you've been given and start to apply them, things open up, and you have a mission to improve the world. And that's part of the what we call life purpose formula that we teach. It kind of gives you a shortcut to understanding things, and then go deeper into it. And we talk about the stages of life, the different 7 stages of life everyone goes through, and where you get blocked, which people do. It could be in your earliest years or teenage years or somewhere along the way. Then we do some holistic EFT, emotional freedom techniques. We have kind of our own version of the tapping techniques. That's one of the tools we use to clear out those life stages, blocks that you've picked up along the way to embrace your purpose. Jane, did you want to add anything to that, or we're on to the next week?
I'm ready for the next one.
Okay, that takes us to week 4 of 12 in the life purpose course coming up.
Right, and I think I highlighted for myself a quote that is really beautiful in relation to all of this. Joseph Campbell said, "The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek." Mm-hmm. And this is where we go in week 4, is where we go into aspects of our essential nature, which what it does is it helps us to understand more in more detail what the soul intended for us. And also it shows us where we're strong and where we're maybe weak in relation to those areas. Um, we we address something we call the overleaves, which are aspects of your essential nature, and the 7 roles. People are very different. Some people are more action oriented. Some people are maybe more creative and expressive. Others are more service oriented, and then some are more scholarly. So there are these different ways of understanding where we fit in that bigger picture. You can see the 4 areas across the top: inspiration, expression, action, and assimilation. And there are many things in there that we explore. It looks complicated at first, but it's all organized, and it in the end is very, very transformational understanding this. And I think for me it also was really helpful understanding, well, I this is who I am, and I don't have to try to be all these other things. What I want to do is fit into fit into my own area and be the best me that I can be.
Once you start to learn these overleafs of your soul and other people's, you'll know so much about yourself, and so many questions in your life will be answered, and so many things you hadn't even realized will become very clear. So once you learn this, you'll say, I would never want to be without it. And that's what people who learn it saying, yeah, wow, this is an amazing map to the way people are and how to grow spiritually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it has a lot of depth, and it actually, people generally, and I think this was me too, people are amazed about how many things they didn't know about themselves.
Right.
The richness of who we are. And when we can see the bigger picture and how everyone fits into it, that's another thing I've always appreciated about this, is we can see how our differences actually are a blessing, because there are people in our world who are right for all of the different roles that are necessary to create the world. Some of it, you tend to think, well, I wish everybody was more like me. Not really, because then who would be the person who would, well, for me, I'm not an action oriented. Who would be the action oriented person? Everybody would be sitting around being expressive. And there's so much more to it, but I think it has made me appreciate the diversity and how you can see the blessings in all of the different things that are characteristics of other people. It's an amazing thing.
Yeah. Just that, learning the overleafs of the soul alone, which is just one part of the life purpose course, is invaluable.
Yeah. I have another quote here too.
Yes.
And this is Socrates. Know thyself, and ye shall know the universe and the gods. And this is it, because it's never, essentially, in the end, it's none of it is about that there's something wrong with you. What it's about is that you're a magnificent spiritual being who has really potential that you may never have considered before.
Right. So that takes us to week 5 of 12 in the Life Purpose Coaching Healing course. We do a lot with symbolism and imagery. Why is that? Well, that is part of the language of the soul. Everything in the program is soul-based, to connect with your soul, which is part of your spiritual evolution. Very rare to find anyone teaching how to have soul development explicitly with things that have been tested and worked for years. So this is part of it. And the process, Jane mentioned the spiritual path process in the previous class, and this one we do the breakthrough process. Again, a process original to us at Awakenings Institute that we found very effective of breaking through patterns when you're ready to get to that new level. For example, one client had a problem with clutter, as many people do, and used the breakthrough process with her. And she learned some about her inner child and some things that related to the clutter and so forth. And afterwards, she felt very good. And I checked back in with Carol a couple weeks later and said, how are things with you and the clutter? And she said, I cleaned out my closet. Everything's good. And by the way, I got a divorce. So sometimes we're clearing out a lot more than just our closet.
Right. And that is, of course, if that was a necessary thing, it's not something to
I'm
take
not saying
that
you're
lightly, but it.
yeah, I'm not saying you're going to get a divorce if you clean out your
Right.
closet. Please don't misunderstand.
But it is often we hold on to things that are not serving anyone. And I think that's really important. We're talking about human potential and human foibles, those things that hold us in limitation, that are
Right.
unnecessary.
So that takes us to that next week 6 of 12, Jane.
Yeah, and now we go into detail with those, what we call the overleaves. And different aspects include your goal. Why did your soul come here? You know, and how is it that your soul wants to achieve the goal, your mode and your attitude, and what is kind of your mental perspective? Because there are so many different ways that we view things. And in that, we do also one of our very, 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 very favorite processes. I think people who know us know a process we call the mud to mountaintop process, or you could call it the apex process, because it's about imagining going to a higher place where you see things differently, and you do. It's interesting how powerful imagery is. It's super effective for understanding things more, for clearing blocks. And it's something we haven't seen in other programs. It also allows us to connect more deeply and more fully with the higher realms, which we also can include for those who are interested, connecting with archangels and other your guides, beings who are here supporting you. I have another quote. I love quotes.
Good day for quotes.
Right. This is Oprah. Don't be confused between what people say you are and what you know you are. Mm-hmm. And of course, it really helps if you're not confused about who you are with this, I think. But it's so true that we're here to be fully ourselves, and the blessing that is to the world.
So that takes us to the next week.
Yeah, to week 7. I'm going to talk about that one too. And this one we go into something that is a major part of our training called polarities. And again, with a holistic approach, everything's connected: physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, and all the parts of ourselves are relevant. So we have in the bigger picture of ourselves, we have polarities. We have a left side and a right side, a left brain and a right brain. People are aware that the left brain being our rational, analytical side, the right brain being our more intuitive side. And we actually have 5 polarities. There's a diagram there. The front and back, we have a relationship to the future, we have a relationship to the past, and we have a relationship to the present. Our power is in the present moment, but most people are not there because their energy is being either projected more toward the future, like I'll be happy when this or that happens. Well, what about now? Or in the past, mourning, well, it was so great, the past was so great and now it's so terrible. Again, just wanting to bring our energy into our bodies in the moment now, which is the best place for us. So we go into that, balancing the masculine and feminine, which is again the right and left sides, the analytical masculine side and the intuitive feminine side. That's one of the most important things in our view that people can do, is bring those into balance and have them both active and contributing to your life. The feminine is the part that has the dream, that connects with intuitively with, I can see where I'm going. I can feel where I'm going. And the masculine part has the will and the active nature to be able to get you there. If one of those is missing, then nothing is possible, right? The active masculine can be spinning its wheels,
Right.
because it doesn't really know where the soul wants to go.
Yeah.
And the feminine, if you don't have the masculine to follow through, then the feminine, all those dreams aren't going to go anywhere.
And that's why we have a 12-week program. We know we're talking about a lot of deep things quickly because this is an overview, because it takes some time to balance understand deeply what the polarities are, for example, and how to balance them, and use holistic EFT and spiritual kinesiology to do so.
Right. But it is, what we were saying is, these are real tools, and real tools for real changes. But if you want to just make it light and easy, it's not going to go to the depth that you need to go to really connect with your life journey, what's important in your journey.
Yeah. Once you learn the complexity of this, it becomes actually a lot easier to navigate and embrace your purpose and help others when you have the big picture like this.
Right. Philip, there's that idea of simplicity that comes from complexity.
Easiness, yeah. So if you understand the complexity, things will become easy because you get the big picture. Otherwise, if you try to oversimplify and just shortcut everything and just take like a little pre-intro or learn something on the surface, it might be interesting and get you going, but you're not going to get depth and mastery.
Right. Yeah. When you get stuck, then what happens?
Right.
And these tools are intended to support you when you get stuck, so that you can free yourself and continue forward.
So that takes us to week 8 of 12 life purpose course, part of the certification program in spiritual coaching and healing. Center of gravity. What is he talking about? George Gurdjieff, we mentioned we joined his spiritual organization years ago where Jane and I met. One of the powerful ideas was that people were 4-brained beings. We have a physical brain, an instinctive brain, a moving center brain, an emotional brain, an intellectual brain, and multiple intelligence has kind of caught up with that in modern social science and neuroscience. But this has some different takes and understandings I still haven't seen in the mass culture. People haven't been really finding this incredible esoteric knowledge that's so practical. Again, once you know this and you have a center of gravity, i.e., you are moving centered, emotionally centered, instinctive centered, intellectually centered, which governs and influences virtually everything you do, whether you know it or not. But if you know it, that's much better. And then you can help others know it. So once you understand this, and there's again a big a diagram here of the different centers. And I know this looks like a lot of information because that's why we teach it in a course, and it would be, a week and some practice to get a real grasp of this. But it's so invaluable. And one of the key pieces is called your mental part, your part of your mental part. The lower part is called formatory or limited thinking. And what a lot of people think thinking is either or memorizing absolutes. And some of that comes in handy, but a lot of it's very limiting and it's not really thinking. So this deep psychological thinking that we teach you, along with doing some role playing of integrating it by practicing it, can really make a difference.
Right.
So Jane, that takes us to week number 9 of 12.
Right. And as you can see, we're taking a deep dive into what makes us tick. And then once we have all the pieces, then we put them together. And in week 9, we go into what we call obstacles and opportunities, which are common characteristics that hold us back or can move us forward, like what Philip was talking about the way we think or don't think. What many people consider to be thinking isn't really thinking at all. How many people do you know who say, if you ask them a question, they'll refer to someone like an authority figure or a book, and they'll say, well, it says here that this is, the way something is. And they have no actual understanding of it or relationship to it themselves. That's formatory thinking. Real thinking is when we can, and Philip mentioned either or thinking. It generally is, well, either you're on the good side or you're on the bad side. Things are black or white. Actually, there are a lot of nuances. Yeah. And real thinking integrates a lot of different perspectives. What we do with the obstacles and opportunities then is we note also how the obstacles that we confront in our lives are positive, rather than thinking, well, gee, this thing happened and I wasn't expecting it and it doesn't feel that good. Well, it's there for a reason. Everything that happens for a reason. And we face obstacles so that we can grow. Without them, if everything was just kind of, oh, everything's great, how could we grow? It's through the confronting those obstacles that we recognize that they are actually opportunities for growth. That's why we call them obstacles and opportunities. So we also, in this one, we do something called spiritual plane communication, which is a way that you can communicate with someone who is no longer with us, potentially, or a higher being like an angel or guide, or someone maybe who's alive but who you can't communicate with because they're not open to it. That you can, at a soul level, soul to soul, connect with them. And interestingly, people very frequently report that their relationships change after they have these kinds of conversations with people. And you might be thinking at the time, I don't know about this, but it actually is very effective. So there, as you can see, there are a lot of things that we integrate into this that will provide tools for just about any situation that you might encounter.
And that takes us to week 10 of 12 in the Life Purpose Coaching Healing course coming up. And we talk about some things that are common problems and solutions, some things that just keep coming up, some things that may not have an immediate answer to them, and kind of give you an overview of these patterns. And one of them can be addressed by chief defenses, these fear patterns. They're part of the overleafs, that people have a kind of a common go-to fear defense mechanism. It could be putting yourself down, self-deprecation or arrogance, thinking you're better than others, or self-destruction or greed or impatience. So these different patterns, once you recognize them in yourself and others, it's like a tremendous shortcut. Like, wow, every time I have a problem, I keep going to this pattern. And once you recognize the pattern, sometimes just that alone can create tremendous self-awareness and healing. That one piece could be worth everything. That's how valuable we found it.
Right. It's also very valuable with other people, because people tend to go into these defense mechanisms, which is why we call them chief defenses, when they feel cornered. So how is it that a person responds if they feel, something in them feels that they're being attacked, or that they have no way out of something that is uncomfortable to them?
Right.
And that's, if you know what those are, then you can actually treat people maybe more kindly and gently.
Including yourself.
Right, including yourself, right. Yeah. And just see, well, this is happening. I'm this defense is coming up because I'm feeling threatened. And you may not be actually threatened at all. It is a programmed response at that point. And that can be very limiting.
So that takes us to week 11 of 12 of the Life Purpose Coaching Healing course. Jane?
Right, and here we go into more on the obstacles and opportunities. We have a total of 10. We cover them, 5 in the first one and 5 in the other one. Very valuable, all of them. And they also are, I mentioned human foibles before. They can be kind of funny, how things that we do mechanically, you could say, without even being aware of it. So I think when we can make light of them, also, then we can actually face them. Yep. Like, people will do things when they realize that they are being rude to someone else. They'll defend themselves by, you might see people, like, they'll kind of scratch their heads or do something that will just distract them from what's actually happening.
Nervous gestures,
Yeah,
clearing their
nervous
voice.
gestures. People can like leave the situation. Just interesting how we are. Along with this one also is another one of our very favorite healing processes that we developed ourselves along with EFT, which we didn't develop ourselves, emotional freedom techniques. And it's called the reality shift. And it's a way that we use imagery to go deeper in the process. And images, the idea a picture is worth 1,000 words. And the soul speaks to us often through imagery. So this is a very powerful process. I think it's if we can take a situation where we feel confused or frustrated or stressed or angry, whatever it is, and we can bring it back to a place where we feel connected and okay. We want to be like, oh, I'm okay now, and I'm at peace. Then we have solutions. That's because the soul emerges. That's when the soul can be more present, when we have cleared the debris that's actually blocking it. And then with that clarity, it's actually one of the most common issues that we find with people when we do personal sessions is that they're not centered, and something might be blocking it. It's not like there's something like it's their faults or they're bad or anything. But what we want to do is be our most resourceful selves. And so all of these things are ways to be more resourceful and more connected.
Which helps you go deeper into your purpose. And that takes us to the last class, 12 of 12, before we do this powerful demonstration on life purpose in just a minute here. Conducting ceremonies and rituals. So when we conclude each of the 3 coaching healing course, this one on life purpose, we have a little honoring ceremony. And in this case, we actually teach you how to create your own ceremony and ritual. It's fairly easy to do. There's a couple elements, so you learn how to do that, which you may want to use in different areas of your life. And then also how to teach classes and workshops online and offline. And since I've been a teacher for many years before teaching the holistic coaching and healing with Jane, we know a lot about how to do that, because actually we're always teaching and learning from others all the time. And you may want to be teaching classes as part of a business or for a variety of reasons. And there's some things to do, and this can really shortcut the processes, some of the things that really work that you get in the nutshell, and you get to actually practice some of it too. People really enjoy that part of the course. So I think you'll really enjoy learning about teaching classes and workshops and how to conduct ceremonies and rituals, which takes us to how this thing works, a demonstration of what we do in the course. And Jane's going to do a little demo on a life purpose related issue with Babs, who actually took one of our courses, our programs too. Babs, you want to introduce yourself and what you'd like a little help with?
Yeah, hi everybody. I'm Babs. Yes, I took the year-long certification course with Jane and Philip, and then a couple other courses, at least one other one. And I just really loved it. It was beautiful, and just the people that you get to meet and the time that you get to spend with Jane and Philip are priceless. So yeah, it's lovely. So yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. So what would you like a little help with today, or maybe a lot of help? I don't know.
Maybe we don't. We'll see. We'll always see. It always unfolds as we do. We trust the process. So I think what would be good for help with. I've got I do retreats. I have done retreats in the past, and I've shifted into a different position over the last couple of years, and I'm thinking about offering another retreat. We have it posted, and we're trying to get some attendees, but their attendees are slow in coming. And so then just wanting to shift kind of that sense of like the questionings that I have, like, is this really still part of what my new life purpose is? I got very clear in the class that we took, in this particular class, kind of on what my purpose is. But so I'm just kind of wondering, like, yeah, like is this is offering live retreats something that is something that I should be doing, and also just the sense of like the questioning, the sense of I'm not sure, is this, I felt like that was right, but is it right
Some
still?
doubt, feeling some doubt.
Doubt, yeah, so doubt, questions, and like do numbers really matter, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
sense
Yeah.
of yeah.
And that's pretty common, especially when we reach out into something new. A lot of doubts can come up, like, oh, I don't know about this, and so we wonder, uh, if you look at the doubt on the scale of 1 to 10, how strong would you say it is?
Hmm. Just presently, I think it's probably, as the time is getting closer and there's still not many people registered, I would guess it's probably at least like a 6, 7, somewhere up there. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
question, a doubt. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
6 or 7,
Mm-hmm.
7 maybe.
Right. And um, with the idea that everything is connected, when you're feeling that doubt, where do you feel it in your body?
Mm, I think it's which is interesting, but as I'm just sitting here thinking, it's feeling more like a swirl in my head. It's feeling like
Mm-hmm.
more like a jumble or a swirl in my head, in my
Mm-hmm.
even in my maybe even in my third eye, like that. The vision is feeling very cloudy and blurry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah. So how cloudy is it?
Let me
On a
look.
scale of 1 to
See how cloudy that is.
10.
Um, Yeah, it's pretty cloudy. I can kind of sort of sense like I'm on a path, but it's pretty dense fog, when you're driving, and you're not
Mm-hmm.
seeing very far. So
Mm-hmm.
on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the worst fog I've been in, this is probably like an 8. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
8,
Okay.
9. Yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
pretty foggy right now.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And this is interesting. This is something that happens, and as a coach or healer or both, it's worth noting that imagery started coming into the process without asking for it. And this is something, when it happens, that it's really good to pick up on that, because that's something within her speaking. And again, there's that idea that a picture's worth 1,000 words. And I would guess, just where you are now, Babs, seeing that foggy path, doesn't that bring more clarity to the situation of what you're experiencing?
Yes, but
Mm-hmm.
it also heightens the it heightens the feeling of doubt, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe some
Mm-hmm.
fear. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so the doubt and fear is heightened
Mm-hmm.
when I see that picture, but I do know that,
Mm-hmm.
I trust the process. It can get cleared.
Mm-hmm. Right. The interesting thing, though, is that we have pictures in our heads all the time. Like, well, I feel like I'm carrying a ball and chain. We say these things, and they just kind of go by us, and we never even realize what they mean. If we can realize it, and you say you're on a path. Would you say that that's the spiritual path?
Oh yeah, for sure.
So,
And the path of
there's
my
this is
guidance.
very
Yeah.
significant to her.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
That.
the path that I feel like my soul kind of has, because when I first started doing this part, it was like very fairly clear. Like it was like, yes, contact this person, let's do this. It felt like it
Mm-hmm.
was clear and bright, but now
Mm-hmm.
it's very cloudy.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right.
Yeah.
And that's interesting. Also, the swirl. I
Yeah.
think we all are familiar with that kind of the thoughts going around, and not knowing what to do with them.
Yeah.
So just to ask,
Hmm.
uh, you mentioned doubt. Were there any other emotions that come out that stand
I
out, or?
think maybe, I mean, I think there is a doubt that, and fear goes along with that, but also maybe a little sadness. I think I feel a little sadness too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Disappointment, sadness. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. How strong is the sadness?
Mm, I'm thinking it's around a 7 also, 7, 8.
Mm-hmm.
So it's fairly
Mm-hmm.
strong.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Does that feel like you have pretty much the whole picture.
Yeah.
I say. Okay.
Yeah.
And I think that's a step in itself, just getting that sense of clarity on it, which is really valuable for people. But we're going to go further. So we're going to use EFT because we know a lot of people who come to us and do this kind of work use EFT. So what we're going to do is what we call holistic EFT, and there are a few things about the way that EFT works that we change with holistic EFT. So the first part of it is there's an affirmation that you repeat. You can repeat 3 times, and it might be even though I feel this doubt and sadness, I still can love myself, or I whatever you would want to say with that. Do you have a sense of that, Babs, of what you'd want to say? You also could say it 3 times and they could just come out, however they come out.
Yeah, I definitely like, even though I have this doubt and sadness, I think would like to say what comes to mind right away is like, I know I'm being led.
Wow, that's beautiful. Yeah.
That's what it feels like.
Or
That's,
even though part of me has this doubt.
yes, that's better. Yeah, even though part of me has this doubt and sadness, I know.
Okay.
I'm led, yeah.
So what we're going to do is I have friends here who are wanting to be part of this.
I love the friends.
Canine healers
I love
to
the
the rescue.
friends. I love the friends.
So with EFT, a lot of times people tap on the side of your hand. Another thing that I found that actually is very soulful, if you want, is you can just hold your hands across your heart as you say it 3 times. Would you like to do that?
Sure, let's do that.
And what the idea is to release with this, it releases some of the intensity of whatever it is you're experiencing, and then we'll do some tapping.
Okay.
So even though part of me feels this,
yeah, even though
Doubt.
part of me has this doubt and sadness, I know I'm being led. Even though part of me has this doubt and sadness, I know that I am being led. Even though part of me has this sadness and doubt, I know I'm being led.
all right, thank you. And so then we do the tapping, and a lot of times people say things during the tapping. I tend not to say much. I'm not sure if you need to say anything. You could just say doubt and sadness or whatever you want. We start at the top of the head, and if you don't know EFT, you just use a couple fingers and tap lightly 5 or 10 times.
Or say this issue.
On each point. Yeah, you can say this issue, or not say anything at all. Just be focusing on what you're wanting to clear. So which is the doubt and sadness. So we tap on the top of the head, then the inside of the eyebrow, doubt and sadness. And of course, all the people supporting Babs now add some support to the process, to the healing, more intensity to the healing. Then under the eye, under the nose, in the middle here. Chin, collarbone. And you may find yourself taking breaths or yawning as you do it. Just tapping, even if you don't have anything, is really good. And then on the side of the body, kind of like you're hugging yourself. And then we do something we call, and this is not part of traditional EFT, just we call it the reset process. So you first tap across the top of your head. What it is just integrating the change into your brain. And you might say, if you want the miracle reframe, anything is possible.
Anything is possible.
Taking a nice breath. And then around the heart area, another beautiful breath.
And miracles.
And miracles are happening now. You can stop and just take a couple breaths and notice what you're noticing now.
Yeah, I'm noticing there's more clarity on the path, kind of looks like, you know, when you see those exit signs down the runways in the midst of the fog or whatever.
Mhm.
There's these little guiding lights, but they're kind of gold. They're kind of this golder color. The swirl, not the swirl is not there really, but the little bit of fog. I can see a couple steps in front of me, but I don't see fully clear, but I definitely see the little guiding lights
Mhm.
are there. So I feel like
Mhm.
feels like I'm on the right path.
Mhm.
And then
Mhm.
it's just a little foggy right now.
Mhm.
That's okay.
So, how strong is the doubt now if you focus on it?
Mm, I would guess that's probably like maybe 2, 3
Mhm.
in that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's way down.
Mhm. That's
Yeah.
a great change. And what happens is often the change occurs incrementally. So it's not like an all or nothing. It's and what she's saying is I can see more, but it's not completely clear. So there's more. And we're just going to measure kind of where we are. Um, how about the sadness?
Well, the sadness is pretty much dissipated because I feel like I'm reconnected. I feel like in this
Hmm.
particular instance, I feel like no, I don't. It's okay. It's
Mm-hmm.
okay. I
Mm-hmm.
I can connect. I'm connected more to my soul, the source. So I feel like
Mm-hmm.
there's the sadness is not there. I can be joyful in the fog. Uh,
Right.
you know,
Uh-huh.
I don't mind fog actually. So,
Mm-hmm. So, well, there are three different options here. One would be we could do another round. Another would be we could do the floor to ceiling eye roll, which is just another way of clearing up kind of little residues of things. The other one is just to receive soul's guidance and notice, just ask if there's any more that needs to be done now.
let's ask the soul. We're
Okay,
thinking at
so
first that I roll because I often do that, but I think the soul is good. Yeah.
okay, so just and you might even want to put your hand on your heart if you
Mhm.
feel just to connect with that love and truth in your heart and ask what the message is for you in this.
Yeah, I think it's just to tap into the joy and walk through the fog, and it's okay
Hmm.
whatever comes. I think that that's, you
Hmm.
know, I'm being led in the right way, and
Hmm.
yeah, it's going to be a little
Mm-hmm.
foggy because that's just the nature of what it is at this moment in
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
expression of the
the
world.
future isn't always completely clear. What we
But
want
I'm
to
on
be
the
sure of is that we're not dealing with energy that's blocking us from moving forward.
yeah,
Hmm.
no, I feel like I'm on the right
Yeah.
path. I'm doing the right
Mm-hmm.
thing, and yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and
So
follow that little
so
the gold arrows, the
yeah,
gold
yeah, I
direction
like that.
on the hands. Yep. Yeah.
Which makes me think if you look down at what color is the path,
Okay, the path.
what does it look like, the material and color? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, so it's a beautiful earthen path, but it's almost like crushed granite. So it's you know, and got some stones in it and stuff. So, but along the side there are these golden, this strips of gold.
Mm-hmm.
Or like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Wonderful.
yeah,
So does that feel complete?
yeah, yeah. And now there's kind of more. I can see the sun in the back. There's a fog, but there's sun back there. So
Mm-hmm. The guiding light.
yeah,
Yes, that
yeah,
was
yeah,
beautiful.
yeah, yeah. I
Uh,
think yeah,
Thanks, Babs. That was great.
yeah. Thank
And
you.
just as a
Thank
note,
you.
if you're watching this and you might say connecting with the soul, and how did Babs do that? Well, everyone has a soul connection, but to make it conscious and immediate and a part of your everyday life, that it often takes a little training from people who can show you the way. And Babs, as mentioned, has taken our course, so people learn how to be quite soul connected. So when they do these healings and do sessions with themselves or other people, they get a lot of insights, and it's very profound when you get a message at that deep level. It's different from just sort of saying something to yourself, which may or may not be that convincing or moving, but from that deep level, it's a vibrational shift and knowingness.
Right. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I
all
think
of the imagery
sense
was
that.
speaking to her too,
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. That was
Yeah.
beautiful.
That was great. Thanks, Babs, for
Thank you.
volunteering.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Jamie.
thank you. You're welcome.
So to conclude, what the Life Purpose course coming up next week, October 10th, October 8th, you get a marketing library that's just there in your resource section, 20 plus hours of different ways to market a business if you're interested in that, strategies, handouts. And it does start October 8th. You go to tinyurl.com/HOL coach to find out about the details too, beyond what we've told you today, shared with you today. Our office number 805-934-1238. And again, the benefits are you're going to get this holistic toolbox. I think now, as you know, what we're talking about quite a bit, and you'll learn at your own pace. It'll all be there in the library to review. You'll have practice sessions, which integrates into your beingness. It's not just sort of learning things, it's actually knowing things at a deep level, so you can use them with yourself and people you know, even, family and associates, or maybe business oriented. You're going to gain a lot of clarity and confidence because this is a unique proven approach that Jane and I have developed over 20 plus years. And if you want to either enhance a career, start your business, that's all available for you too. So there's a lot there for it. Again, is your heart calling you toward this? If it is, we encourage you to join us. We'd love to have you join us. There will be fears, there will be resistances. Can I do this? Can I afford it? Do I have the time? That's all normal. And that's part of your soul's journey to deal with that and use that and overcome that and not let that stop you. Because then you're not following your soul's calling and you just come back a couple years later and you're probably going to say, now I'm ready to do it. But you lost 2 or 3 years because of fear, resistance, and inertia. And there is a sense of timing. We recognize that. And another person, Margaret, who's taken our courses here, I don't know, Margaret, if you would mind sharing about your experience taking the Holistic Coaching and Healing Program.
Oh, sure. I started this program almost 2.5 years ago now. I took the first course and I did it initially for me. I knew that I needed some healing and I needed some help finding ways to navigate clearing the things that were preventing me from getting where I wanted to be. And I was completely, one of the things that drew me to the course was all of the hands-on that we get with it, every week having the practice sessions and the practice partners. So getting to meet people that are on similar journeys with similar energy, which I found to be the most valuable part of the course. Well, everything in the course is valuable.
One of the most bad.
Well, the people are important, having
the people,
like-minded
it's
people.
very hard to find people like Margaret and Babs and people like you're seeing today.
Yeah. And so the transformation was so great for me that I ended up realizing that I really was supposed to pursue helping other people heal, not just myself. And I learned to trust that in this course because I worked through the stuff that was preventing it. And
Right.
I absolutely adore Jane and Philip, and I'm so grateful for all of the friendships that I have made during this past couple of years. And I just highly recommend the course to anybody who thinks that the time might be right. I say, take the leap. Like, for example, I had been wrestling with this on and off. And then finally I came across the ad of Jane and Phillips. And I said, you know what, I'm just going to call him for that consultation call. And he's like, well, we're starting tomorrow. And I, all right, I'll do it. And I jumped in and it's the best decision I ever made. So thank you.
Thanks for sharing it. Appreciate that. And some people taking the course are really just beginners to this. And that's okay too. And some people are quite advanced. They've taken a lot of trainings,
Right.
and they've done a lot of things like Bonita, I'm thinking, who came up with the description of our courses, Real Tools for Real Change. She had taken a whole other year life coaching program. And after taking ours, it was just night and day, the difference, which I think people tend to find who've taken other programs when they come to ours. So It's something very practical, wherever your level. If your heart is calling you, that's really the key thing to follow that, I would say. Graduates report significant increases in career and income, healing and well-being, connection and support, and join this new class of spiritual holistic life coaches and healers to transform the world. So what's your next step if this is of interest to you? We have a description page of detail at tinyurl.com/HOL coach. If you haven't been there, that's a short URL, or just go to our schedule a time to talk with us individually, like Margaret was saying, at tinyurl.com/yourplan, tinyurl.com/yourplan, and then that will set up a calendar appointment with us, or just call us directly at our Awakenings Institute in California, a nonprofit organization, 805-934-1238. And we know some of you will be joining us. Some of you are already joining us, and that's great. Jane, did you want to add anything before we close?
Well, it feels like you pretty much covered it. Again, it really comes down to following your heart.
It does. And we look forward to seeing some of you in the upcoming next week Holistic Coaching and Healing Life Purpose program, or elsewhere on our newsletter or other way offering